Here's to whiskey kisses with the peachy taste of sin.
Greetings, whiskey folk, and welcome back to Drinking Out Loud, the official Dram Association YouTube channel tastings during the COVID-19 outbreak. It is a pleasure to have you once again in my kitchen for another evening of whiskey tasting. So today we're talking all things blends, and please grab your favorite blend and pour yourself a big dram. Let us know in the live chat what you're drinking. I'd love to know. In fairness, you've probably already told me because that seems to be how all of our conversations start, which is no bad thing. So if you haven't told me what you're drinking yet, please do so. Now, you might notice that the whiskey I'm having as my opening dram here tonight is not a blend, but it is a clue as to what we have coming. So, clue number one, this is quite heavily sherried. There might be a bit of a theme of sherry in the next three whiskies. Clue number two, well, the third whiskey that we have tonight is a very special brand new release. I have 11 of these for sale right now at strathliquor.com. I say right now, I haven't hit the big red button. The reason I have 11, not 12, is because I bought one. I mean, partially because I wanted to make this video, but partially because, well, it's right here. You can't see it, but I can, and it's teasing me and it's tempting me, and I just cannot wait to crack into it. But we've got a little while to go before we get there. I also should mention the biggest reason that I have this whiskey right here is because it's on an incredible sale right now. You can get this whiskey for $86.87. That is the sale that this whiskey was originally on. This is actually the first thing ever sold on our online store earlier this year. And it was brought out as a showpiece, an online exclusive to try and drive people to our online store. I'm happy to say that our online store is now flourishing. It's doing very well, and thank you to everyone who's shown support on that. Strathliquor.com. We are now doing our next day delivery to anywhere in the Greater Victoria region, which is proving to be pretty useful right now during the COVID outbreaks. There's a lot of people who are very grateful to be getting some quality whiskies, wines, and beers and everything right now dropped off on their doorstep. Hell, I'm also thinking about adding Hawkins cheesies because I've realized some people aren't getting their cheesy fix right now. So look forward to that on strathliquor.com. But also I wanted to bring this one back out again to tell you that you probably saw in the last video I dropped off a bottle of this to some fellow YouTubers, Trenny and C. Trenny, who's in quarantine, I think for a couple of days still. He actually posted his the opening video where he opened this bottle and his really quite fantastic tasting notes on this one. So that video is actually up now at the Trenny and C YouTube page. I'll post a link to it in the live chat and in the description for this video. Please head over there and see what Trenny's got to say about this whiskey. And if you like the idea of it, if you like what he's got to say, 86.87. 86.87 for a single cask, one of only 109 bottles ever made, 7-year-old Craig Ellachie in an ex-sherry octave cask. Absolute bargain. I've just noticed on the back label it's got official tasting notes. I did not know that. Cut green grass, eucalyptus, dry white pepper, wood, sweet butterscotch, raisins, black pepper, Brazil nuts. So that's what the official tasting notes have to say. But honestly, they're good, but they're not as good as Trenny's. So go check out Trenny's video right now. And I'm going to take a sweet sip of this to warm up. Always good to stretch, as you know. Oh, yeah. I should mention, this isn't actually my bottle. This is Kristen's bottle. And I've just realized that I haven't actually asked permission to be drinking this. So, I best give her a nice dram of something in exchange. Anyway, beautiful whiskey, but let's get going with the first of today's 3 blended Scotches. Well, shouldn't necessarily say blended Scotches, because one of them's technically not a Scotch, but it's not the first one. So let's dive in with whiskey number 1. Tuck this guy down here, tuck this guy away for safe drinking later, and I'm going to bring out a very special Glencairn glass. This Glencairn glass is the Kensington Wine Market 25-year anniversary glass from 1992 to 2017. So that's quite a glass, and you can see on the back, Compass Box also has a logo on the back. Now this is the only glass that you should ever be drinking this from if you happen to own the glass. The Kensington Wine Market Compass Box official 25th anniversary blended whiskey. This is damn cool. This is a damn cool bottle. So some of you are familiar with Compass Box. If you're not, then hopefully you'll come along to our Compass Box tasting, which at this point, God knows when that's going to be. It was supposed to be, I think, last week. Obviously, it got delayed. It's currently scheduled for May. That seems unlikely. I might end up doing a digital one, and then maybe we'll get together in the fall and do the actual tasting. But this is one that we're definitely quite familiar with here in the Dram Association. We've actually had this 3 times in our club now, which sounds like quite a lot, but we had it when we first got it. We had it again quite recently, and the 3rd time was actually at a private tasting. So, you know, we're not going too overboard, but it's a whiskey that deserves to be showcased. It's fantastic, and it's one of the rarest whiskies that we have in the Strath. In fact, I believe we're now the only store in the world that has it, because Kensington Wine Market, who, you know, obviously had the vast majority of it, are now, I believe, officially sold out. I think they sold out quite a long time ago. So if you're after some of this limited edition special whiskey, I think we're the only place you can get it now. So being in the Dram Association 3 times gives us a much better idea of what kind of score we're looking at with the Dram Association, because as you know, with the Dram Association, we get everyone who's in attendance to give it a score, and then we take the group average and post it online. And, you know, there's no exception. Because we've had it 3 times, it means we've had 3 different crowds, and we've had it in different lineups, and it's we can expect to see quite a bit of variation in the score, possibly. Well, turns out this is consistently a very well-scoring whiskey. I think the first time we had it, it was 91 point something. The second time was 90 point something, and the third time was 92 point something. So averaging it around the 91, that's pretty good for the Dram Association scoring. It's a very, very solid whiskey. So yeah, Compass Box, if you're not familiar with them, again, you really should be, and hopefully you'll come along to our Compass Box tasting later in the year. It started in the year 2000 by John Glazer, who used to work with Diageo. The idea was that he wanted to break free from the restrictions that he was used to and be able to make blended whiskey using whatever distilleries he could get his hands on, and also redefine the rules. It started off by breaking the rules, and now I think he's trying to redefine them. Some of those rules involve clarity about legally being allowed to say what's in your blend, and even further saying how old each component is in your blend, which is something that's not really been done in blends for a very long time. And it's something that the Scotch Whisky Association has outright banned. You're not allowed to put the actual breakdown of your whiskey on the bottle, or I think anywhere in the marketing. The only way you can find out information is by specifically asking for it. So anything that Compass Box releases, you can actually go to their website and fill out a form, and they will email you the full components, and that is pretty cool. So you'll be seeing a lot of Compass Box whiskies in the Dram Association and on these videos as we go forward. So welcome to Drinking Out Loud, Compass Box. It's a pleasure to have you. So this was created, as the label might suggest, for Kensington Wine Market's 25th anniversary. So I've got a little bit of a quote from Andrew over at Kensington. Andrew is a fantastic person to have here in the Canadian whiskey scene. He's been instrumental in bringing some of the most wonderful and fantastic whiskies to our country, and really creating an incredible whiskey community, not just in Alberta, it's in Calgary, where Kensington Wine Market is based, but across the entire country. And I know that the Strath wouldn't be where we are, and I wouldn't be where I am without the hard work and dedication that Andrew Ferguson has put in. So thank you very much, Andrew. And yeah, these are your words, apparently, according to the internet. 5 years of discussions went into the creation of this product, the first collaboration between Compass Box and Kensington Wine Market. Inspired by Flaming Heart and some of Compass Box's elegant old blends, the Compass Box KWM 25th Anniversary Blend is a very special creation. Bottled at 45%, the whiskey is from a mixture of old grains, both spicy and smoky malts. The components were matured in first fill American oak, sherry butts, and French oak. So that gives you a pretty good overview of what Andrew was looking for in this whiskey. He wanted something that was based around the Flaming Heart, but Andrew, if you've ever been to one of his tastings, you've probably heard him say blended whiskey is a fantastic thing, and grain whiskey is a fantastic thing. It's not all about malts. When a grain whiskey is treated with love and respect, it can flourish into something absolutely beautiful. And Andrew is very aware that Compass Box knows what to do with very good old grain whiskey. He's also very aware that they have a lot. So he specifically requested that to be a part of this blend. And yeah, let's see what the bottle says. Pretty much the same information as I just said. That's, no surprise. It was blended in February 2017 and bottled in March of 2017. And it was approved by John Glaser himself. And has his signature. I'm sure just a print of his signature. I would be very surprised if he sat there and signed each bottle. That would be mad. He's got better things to do with his time right now, frankly. It is 45% alcohol, and his official notes, John Glaser's official notes, are as follows. Rich and complex with a soft, God, that's hard writing, cushion? Cushion. It looks like cup phone. I think it's cushion of decadent aged grain. Cup phone? I don't know. Producing an indulgent base on top of which the bold, spicy, smoky, dark fruit notes are able to shine. It must be cushion. You sit on a cushion, so that makes sense. All right. Thankfully, they used a much more legible font on the back. We've been fortunate to work with Andrew Ferguson of Kensington Wine Market for many years, bringing our Compass Box whiskies to the Scotch enthusiasts of Canada. For years, we've been talking with Andrew about creating a bespoke whiskey for him. We originally wanted to name it Fort Whoop-Up, after the notorious 19th century Alberta trading post, allegedly a centre for whiskey smuggling and all sorts of illegal activities, near what is now Lethbridge, which, from what I understand, hasn't changed much. That was my words, not John's. I don't want to put you in trouble there, John. But with the 25th anniversary of Kensington Wine Market upon us, we decided to name it in honour of the anniversary, so Andrew could showcase the whiskey throughout his year of celebrations. Developed from an original brief by Andrew, this blend is a showpiece for the deep complexity that well-aged malt and grain whiskies from exceptional oak casks can deliver. It is composed of 1/3 decadent old grain whiskies aged in American oak and spicy, smoky malt whiskies aged in both American oak and sherry casks. The combination is rich and complex, with the soft cushion of this old grain whiskey providing indulgent base on top. It is cushion. It's repeated on the back. I don't need to finish that sentence. You've already heard it. We believe this whiskey is a fitting tribute to Kensington Wine Market and also Alberta's long history of enjoying and exploring, and indeed smuggling, fine whiskey. But with partners as committed and knowledgeable as Kensington Wine Market, there will be no need to smuggle this bottle into the province. And for that, we are all grateful. However you source this whiskey, wherever you drink it, whoever you share it with, above all, please share and enjoy. So I'm glad to be digitally sharing it with you here today. We've shared it amongst the Dram Association many times. If you haven't managed to try it yet and you're a relatively new Dram Association member, or maybe you just couldn't make the last tastings, we will be showcasing this one probably final time, because we're down to the last few bottles now, at the Compass Box tasting later this year. Let's crack into it and see what we've got. Beautiful. Mm. Isn't that a stunning looking bottle? So I've got a monitor down here, and it looks really nice on the screen right now. They did a really good job with that design. Okay. A lot of herbs on the nose from the get-go, which is a sign of old grain whiskey. There's a few people, anytime we have an old grain whiskey in the SNWS, they always pick it out because they believe that the one thing that all old grain whiskey has in common is dill. And, it is quite common. I'm not sure I specifically get dill, but that kind of herbal note certainly does come across. Lots of vanilla. Little licorice on the nose this time as well. So I have gone to the effort of finding out what is in the official Kensington Wine Market Compass Box blend, and there are 5 distilleries named. No, wait, I can't count. There are 6 distilleries named. Clynelish, of course, a personal favourite of mine, and a personal favourite, of course, of Compass Box, because almost everything they produce has Clynelish in it, known for having that nice waxy mouthfeel and adding that honeycomb character to a whiskey. And Kalila. Kalila, again, I've said it, I think, several times already on video, and I've said it must be hundreds of times in my career. Kalila is, in my mind, the most consistent Islay whiskey. I think it just has a fantastically high quality distillate time and time again. It's very rare you get a bad Kalila. I personally never have. I've heard that you can, once upon a millennium, find a bad Kalila. But God, that's rare. Also in this whiskey, you'll find Dahlewin and Tianinic, very popular sort of malts for blending, not really known outside of that. And then the grains. So this is where you get interesting, because one of the grains is Cambus, and Cambus actually closed quite a while ago. I think it was like early 90s or something. So I mean, that it might even be late 80s. I probably should have written that down. Early 90s, late 80s, somewhere around there. Unless I'm well off, I'm pretty sure it's somewhere around there. But that, at the very least, ages this whiskey a certain amount. It can't be any younger than that, because it literally stopped producing whiskey. And along with the Cambus, we've got Cameron Brig. Now, they are both quite interesting lowland grain distilleries. They're both north of the Forth. They're on the north shores of the River Forth. Cambus is over in Stirling, which is about halfway inland. So I think Stirling's about halfway between Edinburgh and Glasgow, but it's just on the Forth there. And then Cameron Brig is in just outside of Kirkcaldy. A fantastic town. If you ever go to Fife, the Kingdom of Fife, get your sent to Kirkcaldy, because Kirkcaldy is cool. It's the home of linoleum. Yeah. I've got a couple of good friends from Kirkcaldy. Jack Foster, one of the musicians I hung out with at the Royal Oaks from there, he wrote a fantastic song called Come On Kirkcaldy, talking about the old turnstiles. Love that song. But yeah, really, really quirky little town. And that's just on the north side. You've got to cross the Forth Road Bridge there to go north from Edinburgh into Fife. And it's just on the water there at the Firth of Forth. And Cameron Brig is absolutely insanely massive. They produce, I think this number is just the spirit they produce for grain whiskey, I think, and that is 140 million litres a year. 140 million litres a year. That is insane. And if that is just the grain whiskey component, then that is dwarfed by the rest probably. So that grain whiskey goes into, of course, Johnny Walker and a few other of the Diageo blends. But the same facility also makes Smirnoff and a bunch of other things like, I think Archer's, some of the flavoured liqueurs, and Pimm's, I think, is made there. A couple of gins, Gordon's possibly. But Smirnoff, I believe, unless something's changed in the last couple of years, is the biggest selling spirit on the planet. Not all of it is made at this facility. Smirnoff is made around the world now because, well, when you produce something that is as frankly bland and lifeless as Smirnoff, it doesn't have to be made in a specific place. It can be made anywhere. I just dissed Smirnoff. I don't care. Come at me, Diageo. Give me your worst. Anyway. Nothing wrong with Smirnoff if you like Smirnoff. It's a perfectly bland vodka, which I believe vodka's meant to be. There's nothing wrong with that. So as I mentioned, we'd had this one 3 times already in the Dram Association. The first time we gave it the nickname Gourmet Gift Basket, and then Breakfast in the Woods, and then Smoked Cookies and Cream. So that's some probably pretty good evocative names that might give you an idea of the tasting notes we found those times. Actually, I think I've got the full tasting notes from the first time we've got it. I think I can pull it up on my phone here. Dramassociation.com. Yeah. There it is. So, yeah, We called this one Gourmet Gift Basket the first time we had it, and this is something we had at the Indie Showcase tastings, which is my attempt at giving a homage to the S&WS note writers by creating the same kind of experience for other whiskies. So this one, these are my personal tasting notes that I wrote. Cloves and tobacco drifted in the air as the man at the counter waved the prosciutto-wrapped figs and placed them into little paper parcels tied up with twine. They were placed in the gift basket alongside the Earl Grey-infused truffles and fresh honeycomb. The peat on the palate was chocolatey and almost leathery. There were gourmet herb butter made with oregano and toasted almonds. Lastly, there were roasted macadamia nuts rolled in cocoa powder and a blackcurrant puree. Gourmet. That's not a word, Adam. Pull yourself together. All right. Yeah. This is a perfect example of why grain whiskey should be embraced and used for good purposes. You can tell the grain whiskey in this is of high quality, but you can also tell that it would not be the same whiskey without it. The history of blended whiskey is often described as a way to make the whiskies cheaper by adding grain whiskey, which is cheaper and easier to produce. This is not that blended whiskey. This is a blended whiskey where, if anything, the grain whiskey is probably the most expensive part of it. And it is just so beautifully well put together that you could not possibly imagine this whiskey without that grain there. Taking the grain away would make the whiskey far worse, in my opinion. That idea of the grain whiskey being this sort of pillow that everything else sort of sits on top and is comforted by really rings true. It's like a primer. The grain whiskey's there, it opens up your palate, and it lets the spicy, fruity, smoky notes of the malts sort of really stand out. It's like primer is actually a perfect example for that. It's like if you just stuck paint on the wall, it doesn't look anywhere near as vibrant and beautiful as if you put that primer coat down first. It really does help the whiskey. It really puts it together in a nice manner. All right, so we have a few bottles left at strathliquor.com of the Kingston Wine Market Blend. I'm going to be putting one aside for the Compass Box tasting later this year, so we can all get to try it one last time together. But if you decide that you'd like to take one of these home today, we are again reinstating the original Dram Association discount on this. So normally this could be yours for $202.52. And right now, if you go to strathliquor.com, it can be yours for $173.83. $173.83 for this fantastic, one-of-a-kind whiskey that you will never see again. This, like I say, it's one and done. It was done for the anniversary. Kensington's already sold out. I believe we have the last few bottles. So if you've got a soft spot for this one, if you've already had it and would like another bottle, or if you've never had it and you need to add this to your Compass Box collection, head right now to strathliquor.com and we'll be happy to help you out. Beautiful. Now for something completely different. So John Glaser, very much a modern take on whiskey blending. Still, very sort of traditional methods, but with a modern interpretation of those methods. And we're going now to a different master blender who's just as well known, if not more well known. And we're going to travel to the Outland regions. This is Nomad. I don't know why I'm holding it like that. That's not very good for the camera, Adam. All right, Nomad. So Nomad is known as an Outland whiskey, and that's because this technically can't be called Scotch. So I'll explain how this is made and then tell you what part in that process stops that from being called Scotch. So the company that creates this is González Bieth. I'm terrible at Spanish pronunciations. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that. But it was actually blended and created originally by Richard Patterson, the master blender of White Horse. You might know him from Dalmore and from Jura. They're his distilleries. And Richard Patterson, he's got this $1 million nose, apparently. He knows how to blend a good whiskey. And yeah, I mean, there's certain things that I would disagree on the presentation of some of the whiskies he puts together. But honestly, I think both Dalmore and Jura are putting out some good whiskies these days. I think they're upping their game. I think they've heard the criticisms. But he's also just a fantastic blender, and this is no exception. So it starts off its life as a 5 to 8 year old blend that Richard Patterson puts together from over 30 different malt and grain whiskies. They are then vatted together in sherry butts and matured in Scotland for a further 3 years, making this whiskey between 8 and 9 years old at that point. Sorry, 8 and 11. Oh, God. It's too late at night. 8 and 11 years old. Math, Adam. You've got a degree in the bloody thing. And it's then bulk shipped to Spain, where it is matured for one last year at the González Biath bodega in fresh sherry casks. And that is done by a guy called Antonio Flores. And Antonio apparently did some research and did some testing with different types of casks to see what the effect would be. He tried Oloroso, he tried Fino, and landed on Pedro Jimenez. So he took PX casks freshly emptied from some of their best PX sherry that they produced there at the bodega and matured it for one further year in Spain at the bodega. So it's surrounded by all of this sherry, and I don't know if anyone's ever been to Spain and been to Scotland. There's a bit of a climate difference between the two. So you can expect the whiskey in Spain to mature, I would say, quite a lot faster. It's drier, it's hotter, it's a very, very different climate to Scotland. So it's going to do very interesting things to this whiskey. And that is the reason that this is not called Scotch. That is the reason they came up with the idea of calling it an outland whiskey. The fact that it's matured in oak outside of Scotland for a period of time. So although it was 100% distilled and originally blended in Scotland, because it was matured for even just a short period of time outside of Scotland, they can't use the S word. But that doesn't make it any worse of a product. I would actually argue creativity and the effect of that different climate makes this a far more interesting and probably better product than if it spent its entire time maturing in Scotland. Let's give it a try. This is a personal favorite of mine. I brought this in, and to tell you the truth, I brought it in, I thought it looked kind of quirky. It took a long time to sell it, and I didn't even try it. I looked up vaguely what it was, but didn't read into it properly. And then we had one bottle left on the shelf, and I needed the shelf space, so I just bought it. And then I opened it, and then I tasted it, and I immediately bought another case of it and had to make room on the shelf come hell or high water. I think I actually placed it sideways just so it would fit. Beautiful whiskey. And one that, so long as I can keep bringing in, I will keep in stock at the Strath, because I really believe that this is just great value for money, as you'll see when I reveal the price. All right, Nomad. Interesting ABV on this, 41.3. I'm sure there's some kind of joke reason for that. It's probably some kind of latitude or distance or something they're referring to. They're probably having a good laugh that it's 41.3. I can't imagine any actual reason. I don't think 41.3 has been scientifically proven to be better than 40 or better than 42. I don't think there's any chance in hell that that's cask strength, because that would be nuts. I mean, when all's said and done, this is a 9 to 12-year-old whiskey. You don't get 9 to 12-year-old whiskey at cask strength of 41.3. That, I mean, maybe Spain is that hot. Seems unlikely. So we had this one a couple of times in the Dram Association. It scored pretty much the same score both times, 89 points. First time we tried it, we gave it the nickname the Old South. From what I remember, the Old South was based on a lot of the notes. It smelled at the time a lot like bacon fat, like not bacon and not smoked bacon. It's not particularly smoky, but it had that sort of greasy, savory, salty thing going on a little bit. Greasy in a good way. And butter tarts and pecan tarts and that kind of classic high butter home baking. And then the second time, it obviously was a little bit drier and more refined. We called it a Lottie Biscotti because it just tasted a lot of biscotti. Yeah, if you like a good hit of high quality sherry without going overboard on the Richter scale, this is gorgeous. It really is. If you don't mind, there's admittedly a bit of that young grain whiskey note in here, but if you don't mind that, if you're used to drinking things like Johnnie Walker Black Label, for example, that would be around the same kind of age and idea as this whiskey. If you want Johnnie Walker Black Label minus the smoke and ramped up on the sherry, that's about what you've got here, to be honest. It's that same kind of level of quality. Oh, yeah. Always, on the finish of this one, it gives me exactly the same finish as Glendronach 12, which is something I can't get in right now, and people keep asking me for. Believe me, I'm trying my hardest. Glendronach 12 is just not available in BC right now at the warehouse. Don't know why. I don't know. Sorry. But yeah, that little sort of burnt honeycomb and raisin thing that I always get on the back end of a Glendronach 12, that is what I'm getting on the back end of this guy as well. It's that same sort of sherry effect. I think, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but offhand, I think the 12-year-old Glendronach is a mix of Oloroso and PX, which would make sense for this, which is most likely a mix of Oloroso and PX. Doesn't say which kind of sherry casks Patterson used in Scotland, but Oloroso is kind of the most common. And so I would assume it was probably Oloroso casks that they were battered in for 3 years in Scotland before the final PX finish. But yeah, this is a big, rich, complex whiskey. And honestly, at 41.3%, it tastes a little bit more than that, probably possibly down to youth. It tastes much more in the 45. It tastes the same kind of strength as the Kensington, actually. Much more in that 45 kind of range. Yeah. And for those of you thinking, Adam, we had the Nomad at the Strath a long time ago. How is it taking you that long to get through, 2/3 of a bottle? Two reasons. A, I have a lot of whiskey in the next room, so I tend to go through bottles quite slowly. But also, B, this is my second bottle since then. That is how much I go back to this whiskey time and time again, because this is a guilt-free sherry hit. Oftentimes when you get a sherry whiskey of this kind of quality and capacity, you're paying, even for a really good value one, $120. Even for a really good value one like the Old Perth Sherry Cask Strength, which I would say is objectively better than this whiskey, don't get me wrong, but it is more expensive. This can be yours normally for $78.17. $78.17, that is great. Like, that is a fantastic value for money. And it's even better when we reinstate the original Dram Association discount, which we're doing right now on strathliquor.com. This is $69.48. That is lovely. That is absolutely lovely for this whiskey, which is, I think, one of the most interesting experimental sherried whiskies that we have at the Strath. I think it's really neat and kind of ugly, but beautiful on the inside. That's all that counts. I don't know. It's growing on me. I used to hate this bottle, especially the fact for stocking shelves, why is it so wide and why is it so narrow? This falls over so freaking easily. I've almost broken like 3 of these bottles just from that. But I forgive it. I forgive it because on the inside it is absolutely gorgeous. And so long as I can get my hands on it, not only will it have a home at the Strath, it will always have a home on my personal shelf as well. So cheers to the Nomad. And cheers to Richard Patterson. May your nose never give in. All right, so these are the 2 whiskeys we've had so far today. Keep those in camera a little bit because we have something quite cool right now. I'm releasing a brand new whiskey to the Strath that I have never tasted I bought a bottle straight away, and I'm going to open it right now and give you my initial impressions right here on camera. So, did you get the clue? A reminder, the clue was in the opening Dram today. Craig Alecky. The clue is that the whiskey I'm about to showcase most likely has some Craig Alecky in, because it is a blend from a very well-respected, very common blending house, commonly seen blending house, one of the biggest producers in Scotland, that actually own this distillery, along with Aberfeldy, Altmore, Macduff, and Royal Brackla. And that is quite the grouping of 5 distilleries I've just named, all of them absolutely great quality, fantastic distilleries. Royal Brackla, I have an interesting time with, because I can't quite decide whether I love or hate it, because I've yet to have a Royal Brackla where I don't taste cucumber. And I don't have anything against cucumber, but it still feels weird. Don't quite get it. But altogether, Dewar's makes fantastic whiskey. Dewar's 12 is a whiskey that I'm pretty much never without, although I just finished off a bottle right now, so a couple of days ago. I don't have any on my shelf right now, which feels weird. I'm probably gonna get another Dewar's 12, but for the meantime, I don't need to, because you don't need Dewar's 12 when you have Dewar's 27. Yeah, Dewar's 27. I'm gonna get this plastic off here, because this is cool. All right, let's see what we got. 27-year-old Dewar's. I should mention on the 12, it's not quite in yet, but I was very excited to see in the warehouse. We now have 200ml bottles of Dewar's 12. So if you're ever in desperate need of a small amount of whiskey for whatever reason, maybe you're traveling on a plane to somewhere for a day and you need to make sure you have a nice dram at the hotel later, Dewar's 12, available soon at the Strath in 200ml bottles. But in the meantime, Dewar's 27 is available. At the end of this video, I'll be launching it, and I am very, very excited to try this one. So what information can we get from the box? Well, it looks really cool. I like the presentation. A unique 4-stage aging process. All right, 4-stage. In fact, it says up here, double aged. Someone's a Tim Hortons fan. It's a double. Double aged for ultimate smoothness. I guess that's not really just a Tim Hortons thing. No disrespect to BC coffee lovers who have been ordering doubles from anywhere and everywhere. My first experience of Canadian culture was living in semi-rural Ontario. Pretty much the only coffee shop I knew was Tim Hortons, and everyone drank doubles. It was a weird place. They actually had to make sure I wasn't trying to joke them when I asked for a black coffee there once. It was slightly upsetting. Anyway, yeah, small batch and blended by Stephanie J. McLeod, who is the current head distiller over at Dewar's. 27 years old officially. Heady aromatic floral notes with honeyed fruits and subtle spice, silky smooth finish. Here's the important bit, and one of the things that got me really ticking. Non-child filtered, no added colour, 46%. I don't know what Ralphie officially classes it as, but I would say that this is an integrity blend. 46% is good. It's not great. It's good. Non-chill filtered, non-color added. That is great. That is perfect. And I'm really intrigued. There's a bit of information down here on what they're calling this double aged. Now, I think Dewar's has always called their regular thing double aged, and I think that's got to do with the fact that they age the whiskeys separately and then blend them together and then age them again and then bottle it, which is one of the things that makes Dewar's a fantastic product, and one of the things that I think all blending houses should do. There's a lot that don't. But let's see on the back here what they say about the double aged. Stage 1, single grain whiskies aged in oak cask and single malt whiskies aged in oak casks. So far, so good. Stage 2, grain whiskies blended and aged in oak casks. All right, cool. And then malt whiskies blended and aged in oak casks. So they've actually blended the grains and the malts separately and then aged them together again. That's cool. All right, I like where they're going with this. That's going to result in some interesting differences. Stage 3 then, grain and malt whiskies blended and aged in oak casks. So that's the same stage that I was talking before with the regular double aged, where they take the already aged whiskies, blend them together, and then age that. Then there's a stage 4 in this one. This meticulously blended whiskey is finely aged in sherry casks. So much like the Nomad that we just had, a final aging again, specifically in just straight sherry casks. Then it says, for ultimate smoothness, inspired by a process created in 1901 by A.J. Cameron, Dewar's first master blender, from 1890 to 1928. He was doing that for quite a long time. 38 years is quite a while to be a master blender. So passed down all the way from A.J. Cameron to the current master blender, Stephanie. And yeah, really neat. So one thing that caught my eye is on the bottle itself, it actually specifically mentions the exact type of sherry cask for the final finish. And that is Palo Cortado, a type of sherry that I have never had, but something that's popping up time and time again now in whiskey. So I did a little bit of looking into what that actually was. My sherry knowledge is substantially more limited than my whiskey knowledge. So thank you very much to the website Sherry Notes. So Amontillado is apparently on the nose very much an Oloroso, and on the nose very much an Amontillado, and in the mouth very much an Oloroso. So it's kind of a hybrid between those two styles. And it started off as an accidental sherry, and for the longest time, no one really knew how to recreate it. It was a sherry that was destined to be, I believe, a Fino, that then something went a little bit wrong in the production process, and it became a completely separate style. So that's kind of cool. Nowadays, most Palo Cortado is technically a lightweight, delicate Oloroso. You start with the most delicate free-run grape juice, which is the first pressing, which is normally destined, like I said, to become a Fino. But instead of letting it develop under a layer of floor, which is that yeast layer that sits on top of the giant containers of sherry there, you fortify it to the strength of an Oloroso. So you add spirit, usually I believe brandy, forcing it to age oxidatively. So you actually let it breathe and oxidize instead of trapping it beneath the layer of yeast. Yeah, Palo Cortado sounds great. I hopefully will get to try a Palo Cortado sherry one time, but I've got to be honest, I'm far more interested in trying a Palo Cortado sherry cask finish whiskey. As much as I love sherry, I prefer sherried whiskey. All right, let's crack this guy open. There's little plastic tabs on the back to stop it from just straight sliding out. So, all right, one. I don't normally keep the boxes, but this is a cool box. I might have to hang on to this one. I might find some room somewhere. Lay it down. Oh, glorious. That is absolutely lovely. Pop it out of its casing. Oh, wow. I thought it was like just an offset square. It is actually like a diamond-shaped bottle. Shine bright like a diamond. That is cool. All right, not much more information on the back. It's pretty much just the basic legalese that you need on there. A fantastic little icon showing a pregnant woman drinking with a big cross through it. Bad pregnant woman, don't drink Dewar's. Leave Dewar's for the rest of us. That was loud. I should keep this up here. So, yeah, really, really cool bottle. I cannot wait to crack it open. Again, more plastic, probably unnecessary. There we go. Lovely. Now, I personally like this bottle because it's a lot less work for me. As you might have noticed in all of the bottles that are my personal bottles, I actually remove like the collars. There's a lot of, actually, start that conversation up. What do you do with the caps and collars of a whiskey? You know, the little foil bits that usually sit on the top of the lid. Once you take it off, what do you do with that foil cap? A lot of people keep them. Some people throw them away. I used to keep them, and then I found it to be annoying because I'd keep trying to pick them up and they'd slide off. And then, so for a period of time, I had without the caps, but I kept the collars, the neck bits on. And I thought that looked stupid. So then I started taking the collars off. So now I don't have any collars on any of my whiskeys. So this is going to be hopefully a pretty easy collar to just completely remove. Looks like it'll pick off nicely, but I'll do that afterwards. Oh, it's a good tight cork. Ho, ho, ho. And a nice hefty cork as well. Alrighty. Beautiful. Let's dive right in. This is the first bottle I bought myself since the whole outbreak happened. I don't think I've actually bought myself a whiskey since early March, which is a bit of a dry spell for me. I don't know what's wrong. So good to get back into it. This one seems to be quite a good way to kickstart my whiskey buying habit. It's got that lovely dustiness on the nose that I enjoy. It's orange rind. It's not as sherried as I thought it might end up being with that Palacatado finish. Again, I've not had Palacatado sherry on its own. I don't think I've had a Palacatado whiskey myself either yet. I know I've got a couple sample bottles of some. It smells like blackcurrant jam. Yeah, that is a lovely, lovely mixed basket. I'm touching my face. I'm going to do it a little bit more, and then God bless you, Sheringham, for keeping me safe during these videos. Once again, Sheringham providing me with hand sanitizer with love and compliments from the team. Thanks to Jason and all the guys over there. All right. Lovely, lovely, lovely. There's some nice sort of dark caramels going on in here. Almost like a leatheriness as well. This has got to the point where I can't distinctively tell you that this is a blend. Like, the characteristics of the grains have kind of melded in with the malt and become like harmonious. There's not much pointing out to me that this is specifically a blend over a blended malt. I assume they would tell me, though. Actually, they've said on the back that it's got grain in it. It's definitely a blend. That is lively for a 27-year-old. That is exciting. That is playful. There is a beautiful tug of war going on in my mouth, on my palate, between sweet and dry. There's like this beautiful grassy, malty dryness battling quite dramatically with this fruity sweetness. It's almost sort of Vader versus Obi-Wan-esque, but the light versus the dark. But it's balanced. It's not a violent battle. It's more like a dance, maybe, or a wrestling match. No one's gonna get, well, you say no one's gonna get hurt. Wrestling matches can be pretty brutal. I'm not talking like real wrestling. I'm talking WWE here. No one's intentionally trying to break each other's necks. It might happen anyway. I do not have buyer's remorse on this whatsoever. This is lovely. I'm so glad it's lovely. It would have been really awkward if I opened this bottle and then had to like barefaced lie to the camera that, yeah, I'm really glad I bought this. You should all buy it too. It's great. No, this is legitimately pretty good. And I honestly wasn't expecting anything else. I love the Dewar's 12. I think it's fantastic value for money. The Dewar's 25 that we had in the Dram Association was a little disappointing for the price, but I still thought it was a fantastic whiskey for what it was. This, though, that 46%, that non-chill filtered, no color, that really ramps this up to another level. They've done really well with this. Like, kudos to Stephanie, I think her name was. I'm terrible with names. Yeah, kudos to Stephanie. You've put together a fantastic product here. This is actually a product that came out in March of 2019. We're always slightly cursed here in BC. It's a blessing and a curse, though, because although we're often the last place in the world to get some of these cool whiskies, oftentimes they're already sold out in the rest of the world. So we already know which is going to be quite sought after and which is going to be quite good. I believe this is sold out in quite a few of the markets it was brought out in. It was part of a series that included, I think, I can't remember, a 31 and a 21 maybe as well, something like that. But the 27 is what we had available to us in the warehouse, and I am very glad I picked up a couple of cases of this. There was only a limited amount brought into BC. I don't know if there's any more available. If they all sell here today, I might try and bring in another case or two. But this is really, really cool. One other cool thing to note is you may or may not have noticed on the camera, this is a slightly smaller bottle than you might be used to. And this is something that I'm a big fan of. This is not a 700 or a 750 ml bottle, and it's not a half-size bottle either. It's not a 375. This is a 500 ml bottle, so 2/3 of the size. Still more than enough that you feel like you've got a decent amount of this whiskey and you're not opening it and already in panic mode. But it's also great because, I mean, it brings the price down, but it also means you don't have to drink it like quite so quickly. There's less room in the bottle for headspace as well. So you don't have to. It's not the same as buying a full bottle that someone's already drank a third of, because it'll keep perfectly well right now at this amount of headspace. It's a great one to have on the shelf. Also, this is going to be a fantastic bottle to reuse as a decanter again later, I think, because this label looks like it's going to come off really well. The back label is just one of those crappy plastic ones. Yeah, this will make a really nice decanter should you want to decant something that's maybe got a broken cork or in a broken bottle, or maybe you've got something particularly special that you want to give it some more time on the shelf. You don't want to drink it straight away, but you're also worried that it's getting a little low in the bottle and you want to put it in a smaller bottle. That was a weird tangent to get onto. Anyway, Dewar's 27. It definitely gets my thumbs up. I'm going to literally give it a thumbs up. I think this is stellar stuff. You might have noticed I haven't added any water to any of these whiskies today. That's one thing. Adding water definitely is a thing, and it's something that I probably should have been doing, but I always find it doesn't work as well with sherried whiskies. Like, you wouldn't add whiskey to a sherry, right? Quite a few people have told me that's their personal philosophy, actually. I think Lawrence Graham was the first person to tell me that add water to a whiskey if you would add water or ice to the thing that was in that cask before. So a bourbon cask whiskey, absolutely, because you would add water or ice to a bourbon. Adding water to a sherry cask whiskey, well, maybe not. It's already been sort of toned down. Maybe the esters aren't quite as stuck together. I'm not sure if there's any scientific reason for it, but I don't know. It's got some validity. But more so than that, these are all quite low ABV, well blended, meticulously created whiskies. So I don't feel like water is always necessary for those. If I was really going for a deep dive into this whiskey, trying to pull apart its components and, really get into it, I would add some water, but I just don't think it's necessary for this right now. I'm just enjoying it. Maybe I'll do a follow-up video later on when the bottle's gone down a little and had some time to breathe and open up. Maybe I'll try it with water then. But honestly, right now, I'm just in this to enjoy it. And I really am. It's my day off. I'm enjoying a bloody whiskey, and it's great. All right, so the cool thing about this whiskey, and one of the reasons I jumped on it so quickly, is it is incredibly good value. So because it's in a 50 ml bottle, 500 ml bottle, 50 centiliter bottle, that certainly helps. But even so, this is just stunning value for a 27-year-old whiskey. So you can pick this up normally. If there's any left, I don't know. This is most likely going to sell out at the special price. It's probably not going to be on the shelf still at the regular price at the end of this. Normally it would be $143.39. Yeah, I know, that's ridiculous. It's even more ridiculous right now for $129.48. Less than $130 before tax for this ridiculous, cool 27-year-old blended whiskey. That makes it, if this was a full 750 bottle, that would make it, what's 130 divided by 2? 65, so $195 if this was a full-size bottle for a 27-year-old whiskey. That's mad. That's great. You guys should probably get a bottle of this because it's really, 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 really nice. I don't know how better to advertise it than that. It's a 27-year-old whiskey that has been very well created. It's been treated to special Palo Cortado finish. It's gone through 4 apparent stages of maturation, which I think is hilarious marketing. I think the double is kind of funny, but honestly, it's just a really, really good blended whiskey, and hopefully a few of you already have some in your cart online. It is officially launched. If you're watching this later on, not at the start, you'll find the link in the video description. If you're watching it at the premiere, I've already posted it by now in the live chat. And yeah, please, if you pick up a bottle of this, let me know in the comment section what you thought of it. I want you to come back to this video, go down to the comment section, leave us a review, your own personal tasting notes of this whiskey, and let me know what you think of it, because I'm just one man, and although I think I've got a relatively good taste in whiskey, others may strongly disagree. So just because I personally like this doesn't necessarily mean that everyone will. But the more people that can come together and recommend this whiskey or dissuade people from buying this whiskey, the better idea customers who don't personally know me and know my taste in whiskeys, the better idea that they will have about this whiskey. So if you buy this and you think, it's okay, it's fine, let us know. If you buy this and you think, it's great, that I want a second bottle, let us know. If you buy this and you don't think it's very good, well, if you've opened it, sorry, no refunds, but please still let us know, because there will be people, if you find something in this whiskey that you personally don't like, there might be people who are sensitive to that tasting note and are sensitive to that style of whiskey that you're picking up that I'm not, that also might not like this. My goal here is not to sell everyone this bottle of whiskey. My goal here is to sell the people who would truly like and enjoy this whiskey, a bottle of this whiskey. So please help me in that, help make sure that these whiskeys go to the right people. And yeah, I will see you next week. It has been a pleasure drinking with you here tonight, drinking out loud. I'm Adam Bradshaw. Good night. Sláinte mhath.
Here's to whiskey kisses with peachy taste of scent.